Have you ever yearned deeply in your life for a sense of peace? Or have you been moved profoundly when you saw something so stunningly beautiful? Peace, beauty, these innate longings are not accidental. They're actually divine gifts pointing us to something far greater. For example, the peace that you seek isn't something that you have to chase in the outside world, but it is something that your soul actually already remembers. Whereas beauty, I'm talking about true beauty, the one that truly satisfies, isn't the one that fades away with time. But true beauty connects you to something eternal. So hi, I'm Arif Vakil. I'm a beginner student of sacred reality, Islamic philosophy, and Gnosticism. Today, we continue our exploration of the Heart of Islam by Professor Syed Hussein Nasr. And in chapter 5 of the Heart of Islam by Professor Nasr, he explores compassion, love, peace, and beauty. And in this particular video, we explore the latter two qualities of God, peace and beauty. I can't wait to get into it. Think about it. Every person, every single person, regardless of background, regardless of faith, regardless of culture, is seeking one thing: peace. Some look for it in money, some look for it in relationships, some in success. But eventually, they are looking to finally be at a sense of peace. However, how many actually find it? In the soul of human beings, there is this innate yearning for peace, yet a yearning that for most is certainly not derived in everyday experience. Now, here's the real question. Why do we seek peace at all? In the Quran, God refers to himself as Al-Salaam, or peace. So as a Muslim, one could say that God is peace. God is Salam. God is peace. And our yearning for peace is nothing more than our yearning for God himself. In my past videos, I have spoken about our fitra, which is our innate nature, our primordial nature, the very nature that we were before we entered into this realm of existence. Deep down in this primordial nature, in our fitra, there is still the recollection of the peace we experienced when we were there before this realm, when we bore witness to God's lordship. In pre-eternity, before our fall into this world of forgetfulness. So, Professor Nasr reminds us that peace is not just a desire, it is actually a memory, a primordial memory before we were even born. Islam teaches us that before our souls entered this world, we experience a moment in pre-eternity where we bore witness to God's oneness. And that moment was a moment of perfect harmony. But when we came into this world, we forgot. The chaos, the distractions, the noise of this world make us lose that connection. But deep inside, the yearning for that still remains. So in Islam, peace isn't just a state of being. It's one of the sacred names of God. And when we yearn for peace, we actually are yearning for God, who is peace himself, Al-Salaam. Let me repeat that our search for peace is in reality our search for God. This changes everything, because it means that peace isn't found in things, it is found in remembering. Remembering what? Remembering who we truly are and remembering our connection to the divine. However, today when we hear the word peace, we think of things like no wars, no conflict, no stress. But is that real peace? Nasr explains that in the modern world, we've forgotten the hierarchy of peace. We try to build peace externally perhaps in politics, maybe in society, without building it internally first. Peace is a celestial quality. Peace follows a divine order. One first has to be peace with God, then peace with yourself, then peace with the world just follows. To have outward peace, one must first be at peace with oneself, be at peace with God. The mistake, we are reversing the process. We think if we fix the world, we'll be happy. But the truth is, it's only if we fix our inner world, the outer world follows. However, the secularized world that we live in today, men and women for whom the spiritual world has become unreal, they limit their vision of reality to the earth and life of this world. That's all that is real, nothing more. However, from the Islamic point of view, since peace is the name of God and all peace is a reflection of that divine name, the question can be asked, why God should allow humanity to live at peace in the forgetfulness of Him, negligent of the very goal for which men and women were created. The idea of living at peace while denying God is totally absurd, because the chaos and strife within the human soul can only be put in order by God. And where there is no peace within, there will be no peace without. For Islam, as well as all authentic traditions, the goal of religion is to save the human soul and thereby consequently establish justice and peace in the society, so that people can live virtuously, live in peace, and they can even die in peace. And when one dies in peace, that is in the deepest sense to rest in the blessed state that leads to the experience of celestial peace. That's what rest in peace means, R.I.P., that we often pray for people, those who have passed away. That we, in the deepest sense, we are finally in that blessed state where we are one in the experience with the divine. Now, Islam has been there to remind followers over time, over ages, that there is no possibility of peace on earth without peace with heaven. And today, it is called upon to assert that peace with heaven therefore requires peace between the messages that have descended from heaven over the ages. As Rumi has said, if thou fleest with the hope of peace and comfort, from that side thou shalt be afflicted with misfortune. There is no treasure without wild beasts and traps. There is no peace except in the spiritual retreat of God. Now to explore the aspect of God's beauty, and so beautiful because it is so intricately linked with peace. Because there is another secret to peace that we rarely talk about, and that is beauty. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, God is beautiful and He loves beauty. Our soul loves when it sees something beautiful. And what it loves, it sees as beautiful. Beauty has this power that it radiates, it emanates, and it shares this characteristic with compassion and mercy that also radiates and emanates. Beauty is also related to peace, as it has this remarkable power of pacifying the soul, a quality that is essential to Islamic spirituality, therefore which is reflected so clearly in Islamic art. But that said, what is beauty? Beauty is not a subjective state existing only in the eye of the beholder. That might be a small part of beauty. But beauty can be expressed in these two facets. One, beauty is a dimension of reality itself. And when I say reality, if you have to understand that ultimately only God is real. Number two, Beauty is the splendor of truth. Now, interestingly, the Arabic word for truth and reality are same. It is haqiqa. And the divine name Al-Haq indicates the union of the two in God, who is both the truth and the real in the absolute sense, absolute truth and absolute real, both of which, truth and real, reflect, emanate beauty. Sadly, in today's world, as Professor Nasser explains, beauty and goodness have been separated. But in Islam, they are one. In Arabic, the word husn means both beauty and goodness. And the word qubh, which means both ugliness and evil. Think about it. If something is truly beautiful, it must also be good. We experience that. And if something is truly good, it also reflects beauty. Think of them as two dimensions of reality. Goodness is like the outer layer and beauty the inner core. But here's what's remarkable. They're completely intertwined. There's a saying in connection with this that also clarifies the complementary between the male and the female, or the yin and the yang. It is said in Islam that a woman's beauty shines outwardly. It is said in Islam that a woman's beauty shines outwardly, while her goodness glows within. And for a man, his goodness is expressed outwardly, while his beauty resides within. Hence, beauty and goodness complement and are inseparable from each other. This is why Islam doesn't just teach us to be good. It asks us to create and appreciate beauty in everything. In our thoughts, in our worship, in our surroundings. But here's the challenge. And this is what makes the spiritual quest truly heroic. We have to learn to see beyond the surface of beauty of the worldly things. Yes, they're attractive. Yes, they're beautiful. But they are not an end in itself. They are meant to be stepping stones leading us to something far greater, which is the divine source of all beauty. Therefore, Islam teaches us to truly appreciate divine beauty, we need some spiritual discipline, what might be called spiritual asceticism. We are recording this in the month of Ramadan, and this is an example of spiritual asceticism. This is why we fast. This is why we pray. These practices help us pull our roots from worldly attachments and sever those connections, cut those connections, and plant them firmly in divine soil. Once we develop this spiritual discipline through following divine law, through following the Sharia, every earthly beauty becomes transformed. The sunset you see, it becomes a reminder of divine beauty. The moment of human kindness you witness, it reflects divine mercy. Everything beautiful around us becomes an occasion to remember our fitra, our primordial encounter with God's beauty. That moment before time, we acknowledged His Lordship. Finally, beauty, and especially the beauty in nature, isn't a luxury that we can do without. Just as our body needs air to breathe, our soul needs beauty to thrive. In today's world, we often treat beauty as it's optional, something nice to have if we can afford it. But from an Islamic perspective, beauty is an essential nourishment for the soul. So, as I wrap up today's reflection, realize that the deep yearning for peace, the magnetic pull towards beauty that we all feel, now we know why. These aren't just human desires, they are divine echoes calling us back to our source. Sadly, in our modern world, we've tried to manufacture peace through external means. We've reduced beauty to mere articles of decoration. Islam teaches us that it's something far more profound. Peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of God in our hearts. Beauty isn't something just pleasing to the eye, it's a pathway back to the divine. The challenge before us is clear: to seek peace not just in the world, but first with God. To see beauty not as a luxury, but it's an essential nourishment for our souls. To recognize that every moment of peace and every glimpse of beauty is an invitation to remember our primordial covenant with the divine himself. And when we align ourselves with these divine qualities, we ourselves become instruments of peace and beauty in the world. Our presence becomes peaceful. Our actions become beautiful. Our hearts become mirrors that reflect the divine light. I'll leave you with this thought. Every time you feel the yearning for peace, every time you're moved by beauty, remember, these aren't just feelings. These are messages from your soul, reminding you of who you really are and calling you back to your divine origin. Until next time, keep reflecting, keep smiling. Goodbye.